So, why'd you call? Need a date to the policeman's ball?
You got a black and white suit?
Hello everyone, welcome to UGA, to another, or perhaps to our first reaction video. I normally don't do this, but I'm afraid, let me rephrase that. I don't normally do this, but after an incident a few weeks ago, or a week ago, last week I think, I thought maybe I should give it a shot when it comes to reaction. You see, I don't normally react to this because I don't normally care, but sometimes there are times where I see a YouTube video I have interest. Perhaps I can offer more commentary. Yes, I may be rambling, I may be cutting out certain bits, but I know I'm doing one thing right. Transformative content. I transform it, create something new, and at the same time, I credit the original creator. From now on, its reaction video will be on my second channel, this channel, UGA. For this one, we're going to be reacting to Fatanga Play. And this is a video that is about, let's just say this video is way older, which Fatanga, I hope you're watching this, hope you don't mind. Rest assured, I will link your video in the description. Also, like I said in my previous reaction video on my first channel, before you watch this video, watch the original. I think you're going to need more context on that original video before you watch this commentary. Trust me, that's a lot for me to cover. Now before I begin, I would like to say games have two options for this future, 2024 and beyond. PC ports or emulation. We'll get to that after this.
And just when I thought Nintendo soy boys were the whiniest, most entitled man-children in all of gaming, the Sony ponies managed to once again dethrone them. Until the next Nintendo Direct anyway. I'm 25. Just look at where a life of indulgence brought me, mentally torturing myself by responding to corporate simps, just so I can get a few bags of weed on the table. Fuck it. Shameless Patreon plugin. Want to see more of this consistent upload rate? Then invest in this stick and regret it later, just like a console purchase. So this asswipe here is Drake Salfinio, a proudly open PlayStation fanboy. How weird is that shit? Back in my day, if you were the fanboy, you'd get mocked and excluded from conversations. Nowadays, it's cool and popular to be this out there about it. Am I starting to go full boomer already? I mean, how could you look at this channel art and not say to yourself, yeah, this is clearly a fanboy? Okay, well, I'm just going to do my best to avoid the ad hominems and whatnot, but these days it seems fanboy no longer carries a negative connotation to it. Hell, almost half his audience is openly salty about PlayStation games coming to PC in his own poll. So obviously that's why we are here, my children. Daddy has to spank the shit out of this dumbass so he learns. It hurts me more than it hurts you. In order to keep my good health going, I will avoid an entire pause and play response, and only focus on what matters. The mic quality here is AIDS, the voice dries up pussies, and the attitude needs some adjusting. I want to go over his main points that are already trash enough as it is. Why do I want to hurt my own beautiful audience anyway?
PC port beggars got a big W now, and PlayStation fans.
So ignoring his stupid ass intro and skipping his painfully slow and unbearable reading of the article, Mr.
Drake here
gives us his thoughts on PlayStation titles coming to PC.
So what do I think about all of this? Well, to be quite honest, I hate it.
If you are not familiar with that movie, then we can't fuck. Imagine that, a PlayStation fanboy hating the idea of other people being able to play something they can because they don't conform to their batshit crazy fanboy echo chamber. Is anyone even surprised at this point? The internet brought fanboys together and helped us to identify a stereotype. It's like when the internet discovered bronies.
First, that's 100% true. Internet brought us together, whether it be climate change, stupid protests, or what? Dr. Phil, or even console fanboy, console wars. It brought us together, and not only that, console wars just created more commentary community. I could be wrong. Ever since Starfield released, wow, the commentary community is probably going to hound them. Well, not everybody, but I'm certain some people are getting into commentary community, or perhaps commentary YouTube, like myself. Yes, I'm still learning, and I'm still managing 2 different channels, but it will take some time, but I'm welcome to the challenge. I have a way to do it. Also, PC port beggars. I heard PC Master Race, but PC port beggars? Never heard of it. I mean, where does it originate? I really need to check on that later.
Playing PlayStation games on PC is a terrible move, period, because Sony's main argument in the console war revolves around quality exclusive titles. Why buy PlayStation when the games are on PC? Wasn't that the argument for not buying Xbox in the first place?
Well, first off, the fact you think Sony is participating in a console war to begin with is worrisome. We may have to get you checked into the same mental asylum the amazing Doofus is in. Fanboys are never consistent. One minute they tell people that consoles are better because they are accessible and cheap and provide ease of use. The next they're telling you, what's the point of a console if it has no exclusives?
Okay, let's address one thing. Let me tell you about my story. You want to know what my first game was? House of the Dead. Guess how I played it? Do you guys have the answer? Let me know in the comments. Was it console? PC? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. PC! Yes, I played House of the Dead, the first one, on PC. It was actually on my father's computer, office computer, which I have no idea how he got a physical disc. I don't know where you can get a physical disc like House of the Dead and for PC. I could be wrong because remember, I was a kid back then, about 7 to 6 years old when I first played the game. Pretty much certain the ESRB existed during that time, of which I'm about 10 years too early to play House of the Dead. And yet, look at me. I don't grow up to be a killer. Why is that? Yes, I also played on a console. First console I played was, I believe it was the NES. I played Super Mario Bros. And another console I played PS1 and then PS2. However, you have to understand is that longevity is a different thing. Because, take a look, my old PS2, which it was a second hand, has just collected dust. Wasn't working anymore. I don't know what happened. I mean, some games played because I think there was time that secondhand it was overheating or something. I don't know what happened. The PS1 was working fine, though I had to sell it because less money for some reason. And now, the only thing I played is emulator. I have a PS2 emulator, PCX2 PS2 emulator, and there's also, I believe, what's this called? DuckStation PS1 emulator. There is an PSX1 or EXP or whatever, I don't know. But I couldn't find it anymore. It existed, but I couldn't find the PSX emulator because I think what happened is it got deleted or it ceased to exist. Gone. I could be wrong. Let me know in the comments.
I see Xbox guys and PC port beggars being up in arms about this.
I was going to correct you, but yeah, PC part beggars, yeah, that kind of works too.
Saying that Sony is a company and they want to make money, saying that Sony doesn't care about us, saying that they will go the Xbox route, saying that this is the future of gaming, saying that they're only porting some games that are a couple years old. But to be quite frank here, I still don't like this.
And it's reasons like this I hate the pause and play format. Stutters like that and a caveman-like thought process just make the original videos look so bad on their own, and robs the person of the ability to show their true intellect. Perhaps I could have said it in a nicer way.
For Tanga, I couldn't agree with you more. Again, I also agree, but firstly, this person, we have to understand one thing. Look, whether you like it or not, console is gonna be gone and it's gonna stop production. Remember, like I said previously, longevity is a different matter. How long can a console last? To all of you, let me know in the comments if you have any console that you have, well, let's say in the previous one, say PS1, PS2, anything, how long does it last? Is it still function today? Let me know in the comments. It's true, Sony wants to make money. They want to look for ways to make it. Because you have to understand, if you put games on one platform, what about the other platform? Or the other games, like the other gamers who only have a PC or an Xbox? They'll miss out. And this is why Microsoft make a different approach. Microsoft knew that if they put games on one platform, every gamer will miss out. I will show you a graph. Let's take a look. Microsoft. Games on Xbox and PC. Why? Here it is. I found this one. Here is from GameFAQs. Take a look. One of this commenter, I don't know what it is, says, first, let us please put all fanboyism aside And well, you can read this, pause it, and the one thing I need to give you pay attention is this one. This right here. His opinion. If Microsoft released those games only on Xbox One, more people will buy Xbox One consoles because of those games. In addition to game sale, Microsoft can make more money on every console game sale, all of the accessories and all the third-party sale. On PC, in comparison, all they get is their first-party game sale. Fair to say that they can get a cut from all third-party games sold on Windows 10 store. But the problem is, it's proven at this point that everyone would rather buy games on Steam or even Origin than Windows 10 store. Only 2% of the PC version, Rise of the Tomb Raider, was sold on the Windows 10 store. The only reason they are doing this that I can think is that they're not selling as many copies of their first-party games as they want on Xbox One. They simply want to sell more copies on PC. This is a sign. Okay, if you see any direct that happened recently between Microsoft and FTC after they purchased Activision, Phil Spencer said that gamers are missing out. If they put the games on one platform, gamers will miss out. There's no doubt about it. I only have a gaming laptop. I couldn't afford a console or even like a Nintendo Switch. You wanna know how much it's gonna cost me? About 4467 Malaysian ringgit, which I'm gonna put a value of USD after this. Keep in mind, the value will be subject to change in the near future. And for my gaming laptop right here, the one I'm using, this is actually priced to 4500, and the specs is i5 11th gen 11400H, RTX 3050, 4 gigs VRAM, 16 gigs of RAM, system RAM, 1TB SSD, which I am now down to less than half because I just fit 2 games that is above 50 gigs. It's not even close to 100 gigs left because I'm trying to save enough storage at least for 2 more games, and one of them is Marvel Spider-Man 2, which I have to assume the storage has to be massive. Yes, not every game is going to be function day one, which I will get to that in a minute because I never buy games day one. I try to avoid as best I can on that.
Because it takes away a reason or the reason to go with the PlayStation brand. Why should the market leader adopt strategies from Xbox, a company that is dead last, trailing far behind Nintendo? Sony is chasing after pennies here, while making serious dollars.
Sorry for Tanga, I don't mean to cut you. This is for that Drake guy. Englander. Of course Sony is chasing for money. And yes, for Tanga, clip this one. This is basic marketing. Also, Englander, this is basic marketing. Everyone wants to make money. What, you think video games gonna sell themselves? Genius, Englander?
So your reason for hating this is because the leader in the market shouldn't be chasing pennies in the massive PC gaming market, known to draw in even more revenue than the console market? There's a lot wrong here. Sony adopting more of Microsoft's strategies is to effectively take away even more reasons for getting an Xbox. You see, corporations don't just stop wanting more and more money. I thought such common logic would be applied here, but you seem to believe Sony would be happy with the billions they have now. No, the fact that you consider 90 million Xbox users pennies is laughable and shows how little you actually know about the market.
Not a true statement for Tanga. Agree with that. I mean, let's take one good example. What games that went well on PC? Resident Evil franchise. Yes, Resident Evil, it first got a PS2, the 4th one. However, I think Capcom knew immediately that gamers will miss out. Yes, even though Capcom is a publisher, I'm gonna have to assume some people at Capcom have seen it. I mean, most of the developers, which I have to assume, most of the developers or publisher in Capcom, my assumption is that some of them have PC. They don't have money to even buy a console. Their observation is that gamers will miss out. Gamers will miss out when games are in one platform. I think after Resident Evil 4, many people at Capcom knew this. Yes, there were PC for Resident Evil 4, but it's not that good unless it's the Ultimate HD, which that's the PS3 one. It's got a PC, but there was a slight bit of issue. I think during that time it was an experimental phase but at the same time, Capcom learned. Not only that, it elevated Resident Evil Revelation, Revelation 2, Resident Evil 5 also have a PC. All these 3 games have PC. Well, except Code Veronica doesn't have one. Let's just say many games that haven't gotten a PC port. For example, Medal of Honor Rising Sun didn't get a PC port. It was strictly for console, PS2, and the Xbox, I believe. Call of Duty, the Big Red One, Call of Duty 2, the Big Red One, it didn't get a PC port, just PS2 and the Xbox. Only Call of Duty 2 has a PC port and an Xbox 360. See this? First person shooter, yes, some people are comfortable with the controller, but there are some people are comfortable with keyboard and mouse. I think this is something they have to cater to, because when you make something like, say, port to PC, you have to know not just one target audience, but more than one. Like, for example, to those who are using controllers and to those who are using keyboard and mouse, which I assume PS5 and Xbox also have a dedicated keyboard and mouse. Let me know in the comments if you guys either using keyboard and mouse or controller, because I use both.
Understand this, and some might say that they only want to entice PC gamers to come over to the PlayStation camp. But if the PC guys were so interested in Days Gone and all of these other games, they would already have gotten that game on PlayStation. It makes absolutely no sense.
Yet again showing how little you know about gaming outside of the PlayStation bubble you've been trapped in for so long. It's a good way to stunt your development, but hey, maybe if you watch this video, you'll learn something. PC gamers are some patient ass motherfuckers, son. The library here be as thick as Chun-Li. When a game we want to play is on console, we shrug it off and do what you say. Buy console, and then double dip on the PC version, or just wait for the inevitable emulator or PC port, because these companies would rather make money than see their games emulated. You couldn't chain these thoughts together and come to a simple conclusion? You're out here barely discovering gaming as it is. Let me tell you the secret as to why the PC keeps catching so many dubs. It's because we're too big of a market to ignore anymore.
Quite true, Fatanga. Look, the PC market is so large. Remember, let's take Microsoft for example. They're not just making Xbox or Xbox games, they're making software, Windows, and computers. Not only that, they also make Microsoft Word. I mean, how do you think everything this works? Sorry, Fatanga, but I think we should know that every Windows made by Microsoft. This is the reason why Microsoft is doing not just a console, but a PC. They're making multiple, and Sony is catching up. Sony's seen it. My assumption is that one of the people at Sony noticed that someone was playing games on both console and PC. I believe after Marvel Spider-Man, everything changes. I believe when they acquired Nixxes, everything changes, because Sony knew that if they follow Microsoft's path, or perhaps catching up to them, they can gain more money. And also another assumption is that some people at Sony probably could see the graph for PC market. Ever since COVID, I think PC games have skyrocketed. And I think this is where, or perhaps even before COVID, PC games have skyrocketed, and many people at Sony realized this because they knew they put games on one platform, many gamers will miss out. And that's why they will, for me, like you said, Fatanga, I'm a patient person because I would rather wait 4 years or perhaps even 2 years. However, I will make sure that game is fully polished, which I'm crossing my fingers that Marvel Spider-Man 2 has fixed all those bugs, crashes, and anything that's problem on the console. I'm crossing my fingers, which I hope it's either gonna be next year or 2025.
The whole economic argument is also scary to me. This shows that PlayStation also intends on putting other games like newer PlayStation 5 titles on newer, other hardware. Who knows where they're putting it? At least PC, I don't like that.
Scary? Are you fucking for real right now? PlayStation fanboys are insanely sheltered and pampered little boys. Well, the very article you read should have eased your tensions because Jim Ryan himself said there was no backlash from the PlayStation community. So why don't you calm down and keep playing the games the way you do, because nothing is really going to change your experience. Unless your experience is that of jerking off other PlayStation fanboys, because that would probably come to an end.
First up, there is an economic problem in the world. We have to understand one thing. Not anybody or everybody, depending on your nation, can afford either a PS5, Xbox, Nintendo Switch, or a gaming laptop. Everyone has preference, because for me, I don't know what the price between my PC and the console. They're exactly the same. Consoles, because I'm not just gonna buy a console, I have to buy 2 games, 24-inch monitor, and there's also capture card. 4 things. And most importantly, my gaming laptop is exactly the same. Yes, it's a bit mid-range, better than a console. I haven't exactly buy a new one yet, which I'm still saving money because I'm still debating whether I need to buy a 4050 series GPU or 4060 or even higher, which, remember, I'm on a tight budget. Try to budget my money as best I can because I don't even know when is the right time for me to go YouTube full time. I'm not even certain. If I do go YouTube full time, it will be one, monetize, and another, my setup is fully upgraded. But for now, I'm just have to make do with what I have. And like I said, the price is not that same. Console is what, 600 to 500, 500 to 600. But if you convert that to Malaysian ringgit, how much does that kind of cost? 2 grand to 2400 Malaysian ringgit. So it's expensive, and that's just the console. You haven't seen the capture card, 2 games, and also 24-inch monitor or 4K, well, minus the 4-inch, but regardless, gaming laptop will be my preferred choice. Because not only that, because you have to have something to edit your video, you need something to record. And yes, I have a second one, but this is mostly for admin work, or perhaps for me to watch the news or watch YouTube videos just to get ideas. And for me, it's not a scary thing. Look, I'm so glad that games are coming to PC. Reason being because I didn't get a chance to play Marvel Spider-Man on day one, the 2018, because I couldn't even afford a PS4. By the time I got enough money, the only thing I can afford is a new gaming laptop. Lo and behold, after 4 years, the game is now on PC, and is now only a matter of time before the sequel, Marvel Spider-Man 2, will have a PC port. I can't wait.
Sony is making so much money with PlayStation at the moment. Why would they change this running system?
Because they're a billion-dollar corporation who has no incentive to stop making more money? Do you think they want to stop making more money for you? Are you stupid?
This is a situation we have never seen before as PlayStation fans.
Really? So you've never seen Sony console exclusives come to PC in the last 5 years?
Okay, let's see that. List of Sony games comes to games ported to PC. Ported to PC latest. Okay, let's see what we got. Recent one. Okay, let's see the recent one. Starting in 2018, we got Shadow of the Colossus, God of War. Here, okay, you guys can pause this if you want to. Just see, take a look. You guys can pause this, take a picture, snapshot it. So far, let's see how many. Let's see how many. Let's see what we got. Okay. There's Days Gone, The Rapture, God of War. This is okay. This one, The Last of Us Part 1, which flopped. This one, which I already have. Also this one. Like I said, it's only a matter of time. I know I'm keep bringing this up. You want to know how many sales Capcom made from Resident Evil? Let me rephrase that. You want to know how many sales Capcom made on Resident Evil games? Where did that come from? PC. Most of the sales that Capcom's game made come from PC. It was successful. Yes, there were issues such as DRM, but they were fixed just quickly. And let me tell you one thing. Resident Evil 4 Remake. I purchased that on March 26, 2 days after the game launch. But I played it on March 27 on my birthday. That is 3 days after it launched. So far, I didn't encounter any bugs or any glitches or any DRM or perhaps even any frame rate issues, because when I first played that game, everything was smooth. I'm still learning the controls during the village fight, and everything was smooth. I even got as far as the cabin, of which I'm going to be playing that game again in the near future because I was been busy making content. But I know Resident Evil 4 Remake is gonna keep me busy, at least, because that is my second mature rated game. Resident Evil 4 Original one was my second mature rated game, and I was by 5 years too early to play that game. Look at me now, I'm still alive.
Point now where I would turn into a PC gamer if they port games like God of War 2018 over to PC, because at that point, what's even the reason to go with PlayStation or console gaming in general? It makes no sense whatsoever.
For the love of God, stay where you are. The gates are closed. Ever since I heard PlayStation Fanboy say this, I've been laughing my ass off nonstop. All I heard them say when the PlayStation was dry was, consoles offer a much more seamless and hassle-free experience. Nobody cares about frame rates and mods or graphics. Consoles are the best way to play. Whatever happened to those guys? They seemed to be perfectly happy with their consoles until they hear some of the exclusives are going to PC. Then they want to come here? How does that work? If you had an enjoyable and fun experience before, then why would that suddenly change? The only explanation could be that consoles really do suck and they know it, or, well, no, yeah, that's probably why.
Maybe that is the case. I think some console gamers, they knew that whether they like it or not, if they can't get high frame rates, because I'm certain some of my viewers who are watching this have a console and they want high frame rates, and they knew that some games lag or perhaps crash. So what's the solution? Gaming PC. Yes, it crashes a bit, but the advantage is you can select graphic settings. You can tailor it. Like for me, every time I play a game or I play it for the first time, I always check the graphic setting. Yes, it will set to default based on resolution. However, I will change a few. Now, some of these changes, I follow a tech expert, Jay's 2 cents. One of those systems that I changes, or perhaps one of those graphic system, is chromatic aberration and film grain. According to Jay's 2 cents, film grain is like more like an old movie. It's like when you're playing a game, you want to play HD or anything. You're not watching an old movie. As for chromatic aberration, I'm not certain if I heard it right. For chromatic aberration, Jay's 2 cents said that it's way too saturated or something. I could be wrong. I have to look into that again. And anti-aliasing, I will keep it low or perhaps find some anti-aliasing that is mid-range so that my gameplay is smooth, because I know anti-aliasing also hits performance. And I will also disable VSync because some people say lags or perhaps crashes or hangs. I don't know, I could be wrong, but I know VSyncs have to be turned off. As for FPS, for me, it's not easy to get above 60. I mean, like for example, Marvel Spider-Man. There was one time I did get around 60. This was when I was using Windows 10. When I was using Windows 11, the frame rate shoots up about 80 FPS. Yes, there were times the game froze a bit, but everything was smooth after that. I mean, it didn't crash. Yes, it froze a bit, but it was smooth all the way. Even the fighting mechanics was okay. Cutscenes were also okay. There was no crashes. Well, in the beginning there was a bit freeze, but everything was good. There were times I got more than 100, but that is only on the inside of a building or perhaps other places. Not the open world. The open world or outside, say the swinging part. Mostly when swinging, sometimes FPS changes. I could be wrong. Let me know in the comments.
Look at Nintendo. Nintendo is doing great at the moment. The Switch is selling at record numbers, even outselling the PlayStation 5 and other Xbox consoles whatsoever. I mean, Nintendo is doing it the right way. Their whole business revolves around exclusive games and their characters. Look how the Mario 3D All-Stars collection sold. Look how Nintendo fanboys are hyped for ports of like 10-year-old games because they are not available on systems that are non-Nintendo. The whole point of Nintendo would be it would be basically destroyed or devalued when you take away these exclusives and these characters.
You also seem to forget that the Switch is seen more as a companion device than a main platform. Multi-plat support on it leads to people having another main system for gaming, and its functionality is something you can't even get out of all the other platforms. Its best support is its exclusive content for this very reason as well. The attachment rates and sales blow even PlayStation exclusives out of the water because, well, let's face it, that's all there really is to buy there. Currently, Yuzu, if that's how it's pronounced, I think, is one of the most functional and best ways to emulate Switch games at an even higher fidelity and frame rate than the original versions. The emulator is insanely popular too, but have you seen that hurt the Switch? Have you seen PS5 sales drop because of PlayStation games going to PC? No, you haven't, because the hardware will sell due to popularity and preference alone. This shit hasn't even created a dent on PlayStation's momentum right now.
Okay, first off, let's talk about this. I think this is a hot take that anyone is interested in. Firstly, let's talk about piracy. I don't support piracy or de novo DRM. However, I have to look at the bigger picture. Firstly, we have to understand one thing. We have to ask ourselves, do we have a choice? Do these people who live in this low-income countries, say Asia or anything, do they have a choice besides piracy or emulation? The old games are gone. I think the PSP and PS Vita also stopped production. Honestly, I do have it, but I don't know where it's kept so far. It's been a while. I don't know when's the last time I played a PSP originally. See, this is the thing. I miss the old days. The old PS1, PS2, PSP. And you wanna know what I do? Emulation. I have PS1 emulator. I have, PS2. So far, these two emulators, easy to run. Well, for PS2 emulator, there are some games that are harder to run, such as, or perhaps they have a texture issue, and that is only on hardware mode. You have to turn it to software mode. I'll give you an example after this. If you see the game, because remember, I choose two games that I know that have this issue, such as Panzer Elite Action, Medal of Honor European Assault, and I'm not sure about other games. So far, some games run pretty well, like for example, Kingdom Hearts. Kingdom Hearts was okay. Yes, the software froze a bit, I don't know how long, but everything was okay. Yes, there were minor hiccups, and there was also hiccups during the PS3 emulator, like for example, Mass Effect. I don't know what happened, because when I first played that game, there was a texture problem. Many textures were mismatched. I don't know. I mean, some textures were not matched perfectly, not just on the cutscene, but during gameplay. There was a texture problem. However, on the PC version, everything was okay, which I'm gonna test it again. I mean, I searched for any issues or perhaps any possible problem solving for that issue, the texture issue, on YouTube. Couldn't find it. I think some games still works. Not all games work for PS3 emulators. Overall, it was a good experience. I mean, at least I got some games working, like for example, Spider-Man Shattered Dimension, Batman Arkham Asylum, Blazing Angel Squadron of World War II, Terminator Salvation. And I'm gonna give you more, or perhaps I could give you gameplay footage. I still have them. Oh yeah, and Resident Evil 6. Yes, at first I was struggling to find how to fix the dark texture, which I don't know how I got that for unknown reason, but everything was fine. Resident Evil 6 runs perfectly. Although they did have a CTD, crash to desktop, but when I boot it back, everything was perfect. And it is fun and it is okay when most of the games have autosave, which in case of games crash to desktop, the autosave starts, and when it saves, boom, it's done. You can replay back where you left off.
I couldn't get a PlayStation 5 because I wasn't able to find it anywhere. Now I'm thinking about building a really high-level gaming rig, build a big game collection based on Steam sales. Steam isn't censoring games. All games get ported to PC. You can get Game Pass on PC. I would just continue collecting games on the Nintendo systems and migrate over to PC as my main dish. This is a scary thing to think about.
Believe me, it's scary for me too. The thought alone almost made me shit my stick. But I don't understand your logic here. You already know about all the good shit on PC all along, and you still stayed on PlayStation as your main platform and continued to simp for them. You willingly denied yourself PC gaming for something as arbitrary as exclusives? Not only do I now want to close the gates of PC gaming upon you, but I kind of want my archers to hit you now.
Since the PC community is completely toxic to the max, but you kind of have to consider these things at these times of Jim Ryan at the top.
You mean the PC gaming community isn't toxic enough for you, because they don't form social clubs around something as stupid as exclusive content. So you can't relate to them, they're too intelligent for you, and they probably don't even like you.
You know what, let's replay that. Let's see if I can get something.
Since the PC community is completely toxic to the max, but you kind of have to consider these things at these times of Jim Ryan at the top.
You mean the PC gaming community isn't toxic enough for you, because they don't form social clubs around something as stupid as exclusive content. So you can't relate to them, they're too intelligent for you, and they probably don't even like you.
Not every PC gamers are toxic. Everyone had their own life. I mean, we don't do all day just, play games? Take a look at me. After work, you wanna know what I do? I continue edit my video, and hopefully I post it, or perhaps schedule post it in my YouTube video, and create thumbnail. Sometimes I sleep 2 in the morning or 1 in the morning. Busy day. Because I'm not just making one job, I have two. My day job and this YouTube, or perhaps my content creation job. I have to balance everything. And like I said, I don't have time for console fanboyism. I'm just a console, or perhaps I'm just a gamer at heart.
PlayStation games should be true first-party exclusives and not just timed exclusives. They should be on PlayStation and not any other platform, not on PC, nowhere else, for at least 5 to 10 years. That's how I think about it.
So you already know how much better your experience could be elsewhere, and you still want this bullshit barrier that keeps it from happening? Okay.
Many of the ported games like Horizon Zero Dawn and Days Gone are barely over 2 years old, and PlayStation is also starting to drop that only on PlayStation label on their games. It seems like, in the early stages, that Microsoft is winning this generation in terms of ideology. What PlayStation is doing here is a suicide decision, but money talks louder, I guess.
Money indeed does talk. That's why Sony has investors, market experts, and hundreds of people in business with experience that walk them through these decisions versus some kid with a blue snowball mic and awful Far Cry 3 footage telling them it's suicide.
They are slowly killing.
Firstly, money talks. That's correct. Let's talk about these two companies. Microsoft, what are they making? Besides video games, they are making consoles. They are making operating system. I'm pretty much certain they are making Windows 12 by this time. They are still developing it. Not sure when it's gonna come out. So far, everything is smoothly for Windows 11. I think there's no complaint, but they will hear feedback to see what they can do to improve. Let's look at Sony. What Sony got? Well, Sony, besides consoles and video games, Sony has movies. Sony has divisions for movie production. They are developing Spider-Man related movies such as Venom, Morbius. There is also what? A Sony and Marvel Universe collaboration next year, if I had to make a guess, on November next year. And they're also making what? Madam Web that is coming on February? Yes, there are many things. Sony's also making Bad Boys 4. There's also Karate Kid. Sony just realized that the PC market is large and they need more money. They want to catch up with Microsoft. And that's why they have Nexus. With Nexus, they can port games to PC. Now, I have to assume that since Marvel Spider-Man 2 has just released, either this time, at the time of this upload, Marvel Spider-Man 2 is now making a PC port. Insomniac is, or perhaps Nexus, is now making a PC port for Marvel Spider-Man 2. But I don't think they're gonna release it because they have to wait until all the DLC has released. Once the DLC has released, they will port it to PC. Because Marvel Spider-Man Remastered, or the first game, all the DLC was there. Yes, you had to pay full, but all the DLC was there. And I don't think you need patches. Well, there is a day one patch, but regardless, all the DLC, all patches update is there.
They are slowly killing the only single reason to buy a PlayStation. I'm just hoping that they will not hand over these big guns, these games like God of War, Spider-Man, Uncharted 4, or the Nathan Drake collection, The Last of Us 2, Bloodborne, all of these games over to PC. I'm really scared about this because I think that only PlayStation owners deserve to play these games because these games have been developed by PlayStation. This is the soul, the heart and soul of PlayStation. So you can't just give away games like this. And I have seen when it comes to Bloodborne, when it comes to God of War, when it comes to Spider-Man, many PC guys begging for these games, many petitions about these games. This is something that pops up on a regular basis.
Oh god, seeing PlayStation fanboys on their knees begging for games not to be sold elsewhere is making me want to puke more than that time I ate 4 grams of shrooms. What is it with these guys in Deserve? Deserve has nothing to do with how Sony sells anything. This isn't fucking Santa Claus. It's a corporation looking to rake in money for whoever wants to buy their products. Tiny petitions with a max amount of 50k is a tiny ass number with a user base of over 1 billion. the games sell for greater numbers than those tiny petitions. See, that's the thing about Sony ponies. They always claim to be in Sony's self-interest. They always want to make sure the company is doing good, so they continue to produce these products that they love buying. It makes sense at first, until Sony says they want to make even more money, and the PlayStation fanboys say, no, you can't make more money elsewhere.
Well, let's address that, Tanga. Whether these console fanboys like it or not, games have to come to PC. Which platform has the potential to last longer? I'm certain, because remember, consoles, yes, it can last, but what about upgrades? Can you upgrade it? No. For PC, now I'm certain some of my viewers are watching this have a high-end gaming PC. I want you to tell me in the comments, what is your graphics card and when did you, or perhaps when did you recently upgrade it? Let me know in the comments. And yes, I'm not, even though it's irrelevant for me, I'm still debating when am I gonna buy a new gaming laptop, and I'm with a 40 series GPU. Yes, it's a bit expensive, but remember, I'm trying to go for a budget gaming laptop, or perhaps higher than this one. But at the same time, budget gaming laptop. Yes, I don't mind paying extra, but I still need to make sure it didn't go past my budget. And also, for games, I already have enough for me to play at least the bare minimum, 10 years? I couldn't even get enough with World of Tanks. Although, I do have emulators, like for example, if I'm boring or anything, I will probably play Yu-Gi-Oh! Because I have Yu-Gi-Oh! Or perhaps I play Army Men, or anything that could potentially last me at least 10 years. To the fanboys, you have to know that Sony needs more money. And when they saw the games on PC are skyrocketing, they took the advantage. And not only that, they want to catch up with Microsoft. Because they knew immediately if you put games on one platform, every gamer will miss out. And I think that's what Phil Spencer knew. He knew if Xbox put games on one platform, or perhaps Microsoft put games on one platform, then other gamers will miss out. I already missed out on Spider-Man. I'm probably missing out on Marvel Spider-Man 2. But I'm willing to wait until the PC port. At least 2 years, because I have plenty to play.
The PC community is obviously happy about everything that's going on right now.
Well, it's a copium like this right here that makes us happy more so than the games coming.
They have been port begging for years. I've been laughing about their petitions in my videos and all of that stuff.
And if port begging leads to you crying more, and me loading up my buckets with more salt, then PC gamers should gladly continue to make those petitions.
But it just shows that they were right, maybe waiting for PlayStation games to come over to their platform.
Look, PC guys being correct for the 1000th time isn't new. What would be new is if PlayStation fanboys could man the fuck up and move on from this man-child mentality.
These are the
See, console fanboys should man up. Yep, man up, and take the L. Fortnite dance, baby, take the L. Sorry, I'm not that very good. I'm just sitting it. Like I said before, not everybody can afford a console. Take a look at the console's price now. It's expensive. Yes, I know some of you have money. Also, not everybody can afford a buttload or perhaps full box of console games, or perhaps a physical console disc copy. This is why most games some games did sell well physically and digitally. But regardless, everyone has a tight budget. Everyone has preference. Not everyone can afford thousands or maybe hundreds of games for digital or physical. Unless you're a rich person who owns a mansion? Which is a different thing. Although for Tango, one question. If you're watching this, answer me this. How do these console fanboys have a full box of console games? I mean the digital one. No wait, not the digital one. Physical disc. Unless they work a part-time or full-time job, which I had to assume that way. Let me know in the comments for Tenga. I would like to know.
Of guys, these PC guys, they would never buy a PlayStation, but they would for sure get the games on a Steam sale for cheap or pirated for free. That's what they are all about.
When are you guys gonna get it through your heads? Nothing you say or do will ever make me admit you're cool.
I just realized something. We don't care what you think. That's the cruise. They don't care what other people think.
Imagine trying to make that sound like a bad thing. Oh no, PC gamers have freedom to do whatever the fuck they want.
Again, for Tanga, that is true. We can do whatever. Also, let's talk about this whole piracy thing. Like I said before, do you think people from other countries who are gamers have a choice? Let me give you an example of the games that I have. So far, the games that I purchased. Let's talk about the games that I purchased. So far, I have 2 games that I purchased on Steam, and that is The Avengers, Marvel's Avengers, and also Resident Evil 4 Remake. Those are 2 Steam games, and there's also pirated or perhaps cracked games such as Call of Duty World at War. There's also Cyberpunk 2077, Resident Evil 2 Remake, Resident Evil 5, Resident Evil Revelation, and there's also World of Tanks, which this is free to play. Okay, free to play. Yes, I could get the game on sales, but the one thing I don't do is buy games day one. Because I know every time people say you should buy games day one, you should know that sometimes when you buy games day one, most of the games are not completed. And there will be issues such as DRM, glitches, bugs, everything. So for me, I normally wait until the patch or perhaps the day one patch arrive, then purchase. Or perhaps I wait 2 months because I know purchasing it immediately is not gonna work, because remember, I'm also on a tight budget. I don't purchase games so much, and at the same time I'm trying to save enough space for future games such as Marvel Spider-Man 2, which I don't know how much it's gonna cost. Hopefully it's gonna be cheaper, and I think the storage is gonna be higher. I could be wrong, except for the graphics. I think it's gonna be the same with the previous one. I could be wrong as well. Let me know in the comments.
The gaming industry grew so big in these recent years. It's the most important form of entertainment these days. There's massive revenue, and Sony's consoles are flying off the shelves. They're getting a cut of these third-party games and DLC. They are starting to get greedy now, I think, and that's why they are facing this whole backlash.
Backlash? Where? Sony themselves said they didn't see anyone else bitch the way you are about this, and that's why they decided to continue doing it. Did you not read the article? How funny is it that the only time PlayStation fanboys will ever call Sony greedy is when they do the least greedy thing they can?
Yeah, I don't like the idea of any of this. I want to keep these games to myself or to the PlayStation community, and not to these other communities. Why should PlayStation cater to all of these other communities? I think they should cater to the PlayStation community.
Let's just end this mess you call a video right here. You're clearly an underdeveloped man-child to have this sort of attitude and mentality. There's no logic whatsoever applied to your reasoning, but then again, I never expect that out of a fanboy. Grown men not wanting to share toys. Actually, no. Even a child not wanting to share a toy makes more sense, because it's their own and they could lose it or have it broken by sharing. Right here is a group of grown men who don't want people to buy what they can buy somewhere else. It's even more ridiculous, and I'm losing brain cells trying to reason with it. Honestly, I want more PlayStation exclusives here because I want to see if these fanboys actually practice what they preach and ditch PlayStation consoles. I want to see if it's just man-children crying and making empty threats, or if they really are that childish and leave because they can't participate in some toxic fanboy wars anymore, and will then try to be new PC Master Race members that make the community worse. Who knows? I lost track of time. I should put down this blunt and get the next video ready.
Now, let's talk about what we learned. Well, for Tanga, I think whether the console fanboys like it or not, they're gonna have to accept the fact that PC market is high. I mean, whether they like it or not, they're gonna buy a PC. Who's to say most of the console fanboy is going to buy a PC, yet they don't show off their gaming PC, such as Harmon Smith. He didn't show his gaming PC or laptop, or even his Xbox. He didn't defend Nintendo. For me, I don't mind. Can't let a game be on one platform. Like I said, Phil Spencer even said that gamers are missing out when it comes to, well, when it comes to games on one platform. I think that's when they realized after the PS2 era. After the PS2 era, Microsoft immediately make games for the PC because they seen it. That's why they make what? The first Call of Duty. They make the second Call of Duty. I don't know who made the first one, but I think it was Microsoft as well. The first Call of Duty maybe as an experiment. For 2024 and beyond, games have 2 options: PC port or perhaps emulation. I mean, whether you like it or not, these companies knew that they'd rather have the games ported to PC than seeing it emulate. Because, remember, I think Sony lost. Why don't we see one court case? Let's see this. Sony versus emulator. Ah, here it is. This one. See this? See what happens. This is what happens. Remember, Sony is learning from the past because they knew that emulation is gonna come. Most importantly, they knew that to preserve games that can last at least what, more than 10 years or perhaps more than a decade is PC port, because that's the only way for them to make money without letting emulation get to them. But they knew they can't stop emulation. Yes, there will be emulation sooner for PS5. The best way forward for this is PC port. Look, so far, I'm not sure if some of you have emulated a PS5 or Xbox Series X or S. I mean, let me know in the comments if you have done that. And another thing is that we can't deny that PC port is the only option for Sony, because they knew if they ported a game to PC rather than letting it emulate, they make more money. Okay, and not only that, yes, it could be buggy. Well, some games could be buggy on launch. Games will be preserved for the future. Like I said, I will definitely leave the link in the description for the original video. And if you guys enjoy this, leave a like and subscribe. And also, there will be more relevant content in the description below the original video. There's also my first channel down below, and there's also a link up here in case if I forget to put my first channel down. Also, just a reminder, this is also my first time making reaction content, which I'm not much of an expert or any expert who react to other content like the vlogging through history, but I did my best. Like I said, I will do my own research. Post-production Azzim is going to make sure that happen. We'll research together, and like I said, Tanga, don't copyright strike me. Remember, I transform my content.